We begin with climate change. The president has so far resisted some pressure to declare global warming on Earth a national emergency. Now, tomorrow he will travel to Massachusetts and speak on the topic of global warming. But the economy continues to poll as the very top issue of concern for a majority of Americans. For more, let us bring in Jared Bernstein. Jared is a member of the White House Council of Economic Advisors. Jared, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for being with us. So the president, as you know, has said inflation right now is, quote, unquote, unacceptably high. What can he and the team around him, which includes you, realistically do to blunt that in the near term?
Well, let's talk about something that he's done that is having real impact as we speak. You know, I got a text from my daughter today that she just filled up her tank in Alexandria, Virginia for $3.99 a gallon. So as you mentioned at the top, nationally, gas prices are down about 52 cents off their peak from the middle of June. There are a lot of reasons why gas prices go up and down, but one of the reasons they've fallen as quickly as they have, and the decline is about the fastest we've seen in a decade, has to do with the president's release of 180 million barrels of oil from the strategic reserves, complemented by another 60 million that he got from our global partners. That is in the mix. It's helping to increase the supply of oil. We've helped at the ports, we've helped with shipping, but we've got a lot more work to do. And some of it, by the way, really involves Congress helping to alleviate some really big pressure points in family budgets. And we can get into that, too, because I think that's part of the fix here.
Sure. Jared, as you well know, there was, whether or not it was economic analysis or a convenient and repetitive talking point from the White House for a good number of months, and the president said this repeatedly, inflation was transitory. It hasn't turned out to be that way. Did you miss something in that assessment?
I know that one of the things that we tried to do back then, maybe we didn't always do it, but we tried to be clear that we were talking, as we often do here, about what the consensus was among market forecasters, among the Federal Reserve. We're often going to be out here talking about what the economics community and forecast community calls it, and folks called the inflation as transitory at that time. And I think the view then was there were certain things that we certainly couldn't have known about. Obviously, Putin's invasion of Ukraine, some of the other strains of COVID that have come on, no one knew about them back then. But I think the problem with transitory, and I said this yesterday in the press briefing room, is that it was always quite ambiguous in terms of what is the time frame you're talking about. To some people, it means 2 weeks. To some, 2 months. To some economists, it means a long historical wave, a couple of years. But I think the way it probably still, I wouldn't use that word to be sure, but I think the way the concept still maybe has some relevance is think about cars, okay? Computer chips are still in short supply relative to the demand for cars, and that's why we need the CHIPS Act. Well, it's not that American companies forgot how to make cars, Major. It's that we have a pronounced supply shortage. We also have a domestic bill called CHIPS, which Senate Republicans have in the past supported. If they get this to the president's desk tomorrow, he could sign it, and it would help alleviate the pressure we've seen from this chip shortage, and that is been a real problem for auto production.
So let's go in the Wayback Machine just for a moment, if you'd be so kind, Jared. In February of 2021, as the administration, with your help and lots of others, was negotiating the American Rescue Plan, $2 trillion, you were on my show, The Takeout, and told me this when we talked about the potential risk of inflation. Let's listen.
Well, you have to differentiate between heat and overheat. The American Rescue Plan will add some much-needed heat to this economy. I don't believe it will lead to overheating. I think that risk is far smaller than the risk of not doing enough to vanquish the virus and provide people the help they need. If the inflation rate starts to rise more quickly than the Fed is comfortable with, they have lots of ammunition to deal with that. But I think the risks of going too big are far smaller than the risks of going too small.
Okay, Jared, the snarky thing for me at this moment would say, well, that didn't age well, as the kids would say. But I just want to say one thing before you get into it, because I'm going to give you a chance to answer this.
Sure.
For context, the time we did that interview, first-time claims for joblessness in America were 861,000. There were 10 million people who were unemployed. And the emphasis that you had was to increase job creation and lower unemployment, which has happened. But you also said you can't overheat the economy, and if we do, the Fed has all the tools. That part did not appear to have worked out.
Well, you know, I kind of like what I said back then in the following sense. I think people were often saying, or people are often saying now, I had even forgotten some of that rhetoric that you just. So people kind of are saying now, the White House, you know, you said this bill wasn't going to do anything regarding inflation. But as you just heard me say, I said that the American, of course, it's going to create some heat, by which I meant more economic activity, which is often associated with some price pressures. True, I said that there wouldn't be, that the risk of overheating had to be weighed against the risk of doing all these other measures. Now, you alluded to this, but let me get a little deeper into it. Totally appropriate to evaluate the inflationary climate we're in. The president has called it unacceptably high. It is our #1 domestic priority. So I'm not coming after you for that. But let's look at what we got. What I said back then was that there were real risks of doing too little. What were those risks? Well, we would almost certainly not have 9 million jobs over this president's watch. We would almost certainly not have an unemployment rate of 3.6%. We would surely not have lower child poverty. We would very likely have worse household balance sheets with diminished savings instead of the kind of excess savings that households now can dip into in this time of price pressures. So yes, there's considerable heat out there, and the Fed is moving against it, as I predicted that they would. But I think when you're talking about a trade-off, it's really important to look at both sides of that trade-off. Yes, we have headwinds from high inflation. We also have tailwinds from one of the strongest labor markets on record.
All right, so let's take the headwinds and the tailwinds, put them together. Is a recession coming our way?
So here's the thing about recessions. You know, you are talking to an economist, so when it comes to that kind of a question, it's always a probabilistic answer. It's never 1-0. The only time you can say, yes, we're definitely in a recession is sometimes after that recession is over, because it takes the business cycle dating committee some time to look back at the data and tell you that's where you were. Right now, when we look back at quarters 1 and 2 of this year, the first half of the year, I don't see numbers that associate with recession. I think the likelihood that that will be called a recession is really quite low. Consumer spending, very strong. We know the committee looks at that. Payroll employment, historically strong. We know they look at that. Retail sales, very strong. So all of those in the first half of the year certainly smell non-recessionary to me, and I suspect to most other economists. Going forward, look, it is hard to look around this corner. Have risks increased? Of course they have. You have the Federal Reserve hiking into an elevated inflationary environment. But, and I got to this a second ago, one of the other pieces of that trade-off, one of the other legacies of the American Rescue Plan is that consumers and businesses have very solid financial balance sheets. By that I mean that one of the reasons we see a lot of travel today, a lot of spending today, folks economically pretty active, is because of a very strong labor market, American Rescue Plan, and elevated savings levels, also a rescue plan. So I think all of those factors have to be tallied into the mix.
Sure, and you would acknowledge, Jared, would you not, that real wages have not kept pace, that they have gone up, but inflation has gone up more, and that is a limiting factor economically for the very constituencies this White House promised during the 2020 campaign to most orient its economic policy toward?
There's no question that any time that there's a decline in the real wage, that's the kind of thing that President Biden wants his economic team to work as hard as we can to reverse. Let me give you a couple more facts about that, though. If you look at the wages of some lower wage workers, that's actually where we've seen the fastest wage growth. If you look at leisure and hospitality, which includes restaurant workers, if you look at transportation and warehousing and some parts of the trucking sector, you'll actually see wages that are beating inflation. Why? Because when the job market is at full employment and we have an economy, we have a job market where certainly labor demand is historically high, the benefits of that redound most notably, most pronounced to the lowest wage workers. And we see some of that in this economy. Also, if you look at the aggregate compensation, that is, if you look at all the jobs, times all the wages. So the aggregate trillions of dollars of compensation in this economy, that's been beating inflation as well. And that's why I said there is a very strong backdrop to this economy. It is a strong labor market generating strong aggregate compensation, and it is balance sheets where people have a level of savings. Not everybody. There's certainly some people who are hearing this who don't have the savings they need. We have to watch out for those folks. But on aggregate, those factors are creating a real buffer in this period of economic stress.
A key member of President Biden's economic team, Jared Bernstein, member of the Council of Economic Advisors. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.